Welcome back to the Quiet on Set podcast powered by Cineman. I'm Ewan Gruff, and as always, I'm joined by Lachlan Teely.
What is AI? Finally, the Quiet on Set podcast talks about the most clickbaity thing on the internet right now, AI. We'll get to that because it's got to do with the news short.
We are both really experts in this, having nothing to do with tech overall.
Nothing to do with it.
Not really, no. I watched Key and Peele, some of those seasons. I rewatched all of the John Wick films and finished Avatar the Last Airbender. And Lachlan, you ended up rewatching The Last of Us, so we'll get into that in what we've been watching.
Yes, I did. And today, our closing topic of conversation is the latest release in the John Wick series, John Wick Chapter 4. Will Ewan and I have an argument about whether this movie is good or not? Well, stick around and find out, because that's how you're going to find out, really, honestly, unless you skip to the end. But other than that, just listen throughout the entire thing.
Let's cue up the intro and get into the show.
We are
Obviously,
professionals.
This is a professional podcast.
Yes.
Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Hello there. Which actually,
Did you
this
get
is gonna
me a
be
hat
a
as
bit,
well?
Yes.
So I've got Dooncam. It's just a camera with my Dune steelbook.
All right, welcome back, Lachlan. It's a big
Hello,
week
Ewan.
for the theater experience. On hopefully
The action
I don't know,
experience.
on action, yes, big action with John Wick, battling it out. We'll actually have a full-on spoiler thoughts for that later today. So catch up with it if you are willing to sit for almost 3 hours, or I guess with the pre-screenings or whatever, all the ads, you probably end up being 3 hours in the theater. But I'd say the experience is worth it. We can take that away before we even get into
okay.
it. Yeah, I mean,
Maybe
like,
we're not
it's
going to
a-
argue after all.
I think I've come around on it a bit, but we'll get into that a bit more.
Okay.
First up, let's talk about the news briefly. And the main thing in here is that the WGA, the Writers Guild of America, is about to, I guess, renew or redo their contract on May 1st. It's about to expire. That usually means they set a bunch of demands and they will probably go on strike until they can somewhat reach an agreement of what they want to be changed in here. And the most pressing issue, especially for writers, even more than for any of the other guilds, is AI. The potential of AI to be able to write part of scripts, maybe outlines, maybe full ideas, or even the most part of a script. The clauses that are in here that the WGA is about to set is that anything an AI writes is not considered literary material. They have the terminology there for anything a writer does, anything a someone who's in the WGA does. When they write something, it is considered literary material. So even if you base your story on something an AI has spouted out as an idea, it would still be considered an original screenplay, not adaptation of an idea an AI has come up with. I don't know what the terminology is for AI being creative. It's interesting because Lachlan, AI seems to be coming first for all of the creative jobs. And yeah, what do you think about this? What's the potential future of this? Is WGA tackling it in a good way? Do you think this will cover it, or just
Look, I think that the word AI is being misused here, because what we're referring to is this program called ChatGTP, or a form of it, where it is able to form sentences based on a preset of information. So ChatGTP 3 was based on stuff from 2021 and previous to that, and now there's newer versions coming out with Bing, ChatGTP 4, etc., etc. They're getting smarter and smarter, and it's getting better and better at forming things. Funnily enough, I've recently gotten back into writing stuff, and there have been moments where I haven't really known where I've wanted to go with a story, and I have used the way of using ChatGPT to form the next layer of that screenplay.
Yeah.
I think that we're just in a spot where people are going to just abuse it and use it to create an entire screenplay. That's not what it is. I think it's literally a great tool for the future. I don't know if you use but I use DuckDuckGo, and they've got their own
Mm.
form of it when you search. And I find it really useful when I'm searching for very specific answers that it's
Yeah.
able to generate one of those answers for me in a very natural way.
Mhm.
So I think that they've done it in a way where you said that if they base an idea on AI's story
Yeah.
and they write around that, that's original.
Yeah.
That's fair. Because if you can feed this device, this tool prompts to spit something out,
Mhm.
then it's going to definitely help out with writer's block, which something people suffer from quite a bit when you're trying to figure out where to go. As I said,
Mhm.
I think it's a great tool. I don't think it's a replacement. There's no way it's going to replace
No.
writers or anything like that, but it's definitely a very powerful tool that I have been recently using, and
Yeah.
it does help in a number of situations. So,
Mhm.
have you used it much in like
I
playing? Because did I show you that like Tarantino versus what did I do? What did I do? I got Tarantino and James Cameron to argue which 2009 movie was better, Inglorious Bastards or Avatar, and I got
yeah.
ChatGTP to make a screenplay of that, and that was fun. That was actually
Yeah.
quite an enjoyable moment. But
Mhm.
have you played around with it much?
I have. I mean, I try to do the thing of making it predict the Oscars, but because the base set is at the moment limited, and the Bing one, I guess, it has, I guess, access to the internet. It's still, I couldn't really work around it. I know there's some workarounds to it, but I haven't played that much with it just yet. But I feel like there's the potential for a bunch of stuff that it could just give you ideas and push you into directions, but it doesn't replace the creative work just yet. I think something that is um way more controversial as well, because I feel like the issue with AI is at the center of it all, you basing it on everything before, and that's also in some sort of way copyrighted. But then when you just base the idea and create something, I guess, kind of new with the AI, then it like legally, it's so like not just legally, because like that's the boring mumbo jumbo, but also especially in the creative work when, for example, Adobe is coming out with Firefly, which is this library that you can just type in prompts and then it just gives you the assets and it bases it on all of the stuff that is in the Adobe suite library of people that have uploaded their stock stuff onto there. Then everyone who's uploaded their stuff can, like, it's not their images that are being used, I guess, anymore, but then the prompts that you create, and then it just makes something new, and that's like exciting to use it as a feature, but then also not so exciting for the people who used to create that stuff. It's a bit like, to me, it's like, I don't know if I love it. I love it when I use it, but then when I think about it more, I'm like, oof, okay, I'm not the biggest fan of it.
It's I don't know if it's the right phrase to use, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword in the
Yeah,
sense that
for sure.
with this very specific example of Adobe, if you're creating a large scene, let's say you're creating a large, because another thing I've been doing is playing around with 3D environments. If you're trying to
Mhm.
create a large 3D environment, getting those really, I guess, tedious tasks of forming an environment, if an AI could if you could just type in a prompt, create a rainforest, and then you
Yeah,
go in and change the details, that is a
that would be great.
that
Yeah.
is a great tool to be
Mhm.
able to use. And I guess it's the same thing with this Adobe suite. If you're creating an image and there's this one part that you're really struggling with and you can get AI to generate that for you, but then you go in and change it, that's where it is. If you're just using AI to create the image, that's not being creative. But if
Exactly.
you're
Yeah.
using it as a tool and then forming something from that, as we said earlier, with like the prompts that AI can give you, if you chuck in a couple ideas and get it to spit something back at you and you write from that,
Yeah.
that's it being a tool, not
Mhm.
it being a writer or a creative. So, look, we're in a very early phase of AI being
Exactly. But
good, I
it's,
guess.
yeah, it's a thing of like, what, I don't know, whichever law it is. There's like a thing that like tech, uh, I guess, kind of doubles each year or something like that.
Mm.
Incrementally, they exponentially, I guess, not incrementally. It gets more powerful, and I feel like with AI, that's even more the case, where it's really hard to predict where we'll end up, because there's a lot of like safety guards, like that are put onto it and limitations, and you can see it constantly like breaking out as
Because
well.
everybody who works for that company that's putting these safety guards is tasked with watching Terminator. That is literally everyone's basis on how far AI can go.
I mean, it could. I mean, like once it gets to a point, if it gets there, which I don't know. I got no idea about tech stuff. When an AI can create another AI, that like the self-sufficient thing. I
Yeah,
think that's like a bit of a breaking point, but
that's the
um,
stopping point.
because like as soon as it was implemented in a lot of like these places, even early on a couple of years ago, I think there was one that was kind of based with Twitter.
Facebook's one.
And yeah, like Facebook or Twitter, I don't remember. And it just got racist. And it's like, okay, well, it's just like if you're
Probably
feeding off the
Facebook.
internet, probably not the best place. Well, Twitter is probably equally bad.
Yeah,
But
great.
but yeah, something unrelated. They're
Funny
getting rid.
story about
Yeah,
Twitter.
yeah.
I re-downloaded it. You might have
You
noticed.
did, yeah. No, it's just to retweet that we're going to Cannes, which, by the way, another
Yeah.
reminder, we're going to Cannes. No, Twitter is getting rid of all of the legacy verified people that actually got verified, and I think from next month on or something like that, there will only be the Twitter Blue people. And I think I saw like a really fun tweet. Who was it? Drew Gooden or something? I'm paraphrasing. It's somewhat great because before you had to click on a profile to see if like it's a loser who has Twitter Blue or if it's like an actually notable person. And after this, you just know it's a loser.
Yeah.
That's a really fun thing. You don't have to wonder anymore. But yeah, that's that. There's some cringe stuff that's happening in tech, but AI is something that both of us will closely follow because the clickbait is all worth it in a sense because it does hold pretty much limitless potential if used in the right circumstances. And I feel like we'll get way more of those like Firefly type of stuff and not just the headlines of I guess teachers having to deal with not so original essays being handed in all the time.
Mm.
There's another bit of news that I just loosely want to touch on. You brought this up. We don't really do that sort of stuff here, but just because he's been so prominently featured in a couple of weeks ago with Creed 3 and then Ant-Man 3 that we didn't end up watching. Jonathan Majors has been arrested for an alleged assault, and I know there's no real details about it just yet. There's no statement yet from, I guess, his representatives, which they claim he's innocent and they'll all be cleared up or whatever. To me, just being involved with this is, I guess, kind of disappointing that something like this is happening when he's just on the verge of breaking out and having some really great roles. Just is a big stain and not really who I saw him to be as a person. So that's a bit disappointing, but. We'll have to wait
Only
and see.
reason I wanted to get into this is that I haven't seen Ant-Man 3 yet.
Yeah.
This is the longest I've gone without seeing an MCU film at
Really?
launch. Like literally, yeah. I haven't seen Ant-Man 3 yet, and I probably won't
Right.
see it until it comes out on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I have no reason to go see it in cinemas.
Which probably won't be that much longer after, I guess, Guardians 3 comes out, but that one you'll probably end up seeing in theaters, right?
If I hear good things about Guardians 3, I will go see it. But yeah, like if something else comes out, I'll probably go see that first. But this is the longest it has been since an MCU film has come out that I haven't gone and seen it. Now, I'm not saying that because I want to shit on the MCU, but I'd love to take the next few minutes to shit on the MCU.
Okay. Take the floor.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I it's more clickbaity news stuff, but yeah. What is going on with the MCU? I don't know. Nothing great.
Not much.
But hey, Guardians 3 comes out soon. Last James Gunn MCU movie for a very, very, very long time. Most likely. I'm excited. I will definitely be seeing that in cinemas, I reckon.
Yeah.
But hey, I think that's pretty much the news, right? We haven't
That
really
is
got
the
much
news.
to talk about this week. Nothing
Yes.
nothing crazy happened this week.
Nope.
Did you see that poster for The Big Shark from Tommy Wiseau?
I did watch the trailer for Big Shark as well.
I haven't seen the trailer yet. Are
It
we
is-
covering that on the podcast? I think we need to cover that on the podcast.
It is. Oh my god! It's so. I don't know. I was so because it was on the like there's two different channels who does like trailers, right? There's the like Rotten Tomatoes indie thing and the main one. And this was on the main one, and I just like was so confused as to why that was on the main one, because it obviously was like a cheap like haha, look at this
It's
bad
the
movie.
guy who made The Room.
Yeah.
Come on, it's the biggest film of all time.
And he has suffered from I guess climate change, and now the room is flooded and we are chased by big shark. And I mean, I don't know if this will get to me to Switzerland. I don't know if it will get an Australian release, but if it gets it, I guess we can talk about it.
Wait.
Yeah, maybe something that once it hits VOD and it's past the probably limited run, or I guess maybe it's going for a big theatrical run. We can do some sort of watch party screening for it, because that's how these movies are supposed to be enjoyed, not alone at home. That would be kind of sad. You want a big party with Big Shark.
Who is producing Big Shark? That's the ultimate question. You know what I mean? Is it
Right.
just him financing it himself? Because if it is, I mean, he's the writer-director. This is exciting stuff here.
And he
He's also
stars in it,
starring in it.
of course.
Again, I haven't seen the trailer. I'm just looking at the IMDb. 3 firefighters must save New Orleans from a shark attack. God, I love this. I love this. Okay.
The producers
It's
haven't really
literally
done the producer. One of them has
production
done
companies.
the one.
Have
One
you
of the
seen production
producers.
companies?
No, who's the production company? A la board.
It's
Wiseau
literally
Studio. Oh my god.
It's
Oh no.
Wiseau Studios, Wiseau Films,
Oh.
which have done all of the other Tommy Wiseau films, and then there's All Aboard Films, and this is great. This is the best. This is my favorite year of being alive.
Yeah, so that's going to be a thing. One of the producers is also in The Purge. He's Man with Dead Wife. He's not in The Purge, the TV series.
Is that
And
his
he also
credit?
Yes, he also was in Emancipation last year. He was our Confederate soldier. So I don't know. This seems to be a fun one. And it's just like, is it going to be this bad that you can enjoy it, or is it just gonna be bad? Yeah, it looks like a probably fun half-star movie that's coming in from Tommy Wiseau. But yeah, I think that's it for the news. And my cat is not leaving my microphone. Maybe she should be featured at this point. Oh, what do you got to say?
Sorry, I'm watching the trailer. Forgive me. What's happening?
No, my cat was
Look, it's a
licking my
cat.
microphone. She was licking the microphone.
Can you turn that microphone on right now?
It's not. No, it's not connected. She also doesn't really talk. My cat only talks when she's lying down and I approach her and I put my hand out to like pet her. As soon as I'm like about 50 centimeters away, she always goes meow once, and then she doesn't say anything after. It's always the same thing.
Yeah, that's a sassy cat.
Apart from my cats, let's get to what we've been watching. So, Lachlan. You took your time and rewatched the whole first season of The Last of Us again?
Yeah, I wanted to watch the John Wick films, but I ran out of time. But throughout the days of the previous week, I don't know why I said that sentence in that structure, but here we are. I rewatched the first season of The Last of Us, and it is definitely an experience rewatching it as a full series. When you funnily enough, I guess the other big HBO show that I watched in a very big chunk was Game of Thrones. I didn't really watch the first few. I think it was maybe 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. I think I started watching it with season 5. So I binged the whole first 4 seasons, and I found that very enjoyable. Very similar thing here with The Last of Us. It is a really good show to binge in one big session. It is way more impactful emotionally. I feel like there were scenes that held up better during the rewatch just because I was back to back watching what happened in a previous episode, and how that affects the emotion of these two actors in the next scene. I guess the best example would be episode 8 and 9, because there
Yeah.
was a week gap between what happened to Ellie and then seeing Ellie's emotional distance to Joel in episode 9. It was a
Mhm.
bit jarring when you just watch it after a week, but watching it from that very last emotional scene, or almost emotional 2 scenes, and then following up with this distance that Joel and Ellie have in the final episode, it definitely hits harder. So
Mhm.
to anyone who hasn't seen The Last of Us yet, I am very jealous that you get to watch it in probably the better way of watching it, and that's episode 1 to 9 back to back. So I watched it over
Yeah.
about 2 days,
Mhm.
2 or 3 days of just bang, 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 when I was going to bed, and falling asleep. But yeah, no, Last of Us is really, really rewatchable. Very similar to how it was replayable for me, and I think that's probably the best part so far of the show is that it has been a rewatchable show.
Mhm.
With season 2 being split, or sorry, I should say part 2 being split over multiple seasons, I
Yeah.
will be excited to see how it holds up when they're telling a larger story over a bigger period of time. So,
Mhm.
yeah, no, I think The Last of Us is wicked. I'm a bit disappointed that you get to watch all the John Wick films this week because
Yeah.
I really wanted to rewatch them all. I'll probably do it this week,
Mhm.
hopefully. But what are we doing next week? I haven't asked. What are we doing next week?
Dungeons and Dragons, which is
Okay,
surprisingly
cool.
solid. I can already say that.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty fun.
Well, there's no
Um,
other Dungeons and Dragons movie I need to catch up on, so
there's three
maybe
of
I'll
them.
rewatch the John
There's
Wick
actually
films.
3 of them.
There's 3?
I
What?
I think I'll try to get to them. They were like they have no connection to this one. But there's 3 other
Oh,
Dungeons
okay.
and Dragons movies that I kind of want to see to compare it to the new one, but nothing for you to catch up on. I think something that I want to bring
Sure.
up. We did this in January. I think like after episode 1 aired, I asked you. I hadn't played the games yet, so I never fully looked at the list because I didn't want to be spoiled for my playthrough. But you sent me a list of like each episode of what you think will happen.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you pretty much
Do
nailed
you
it.
have that?
Most of it.
Hang
Yeah.
on. Where is it? How did I go? Episode 2, falling building, Tessa's death, and oh, by the way, spoilers for Last of Us. I just said
Yeah,
Tessa's
I
death.
mean-
Fuck, I'm so sorry.
No, obvious.
Ellie and Joel escaping Fedra agents. I guess there were no
Mhm.
Fedra agents this time. It was more zombies.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then arriving at Bill's. But I guess episode 3, Bill and Frank. There we go. But it was more of a spin-off episode. So I guess I said that. I kind of I
couldn't
took
really
a
predict that.
literal adaptation. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess episode 3, Bill and Frank. That's good. Episode 4, Downtown with the Hunters. And then they meet Sam and Henry. That literally happens at the end. And then
Mhm.
episode 5 is Sam and Henry, Ellie and Joel escape hunters, sewer exploration, and then death. Big mid-season finale. That was a
Mhm.
pretty big, like, explosive mid-season finale. There was a big bloater, everything. Man, I was on fire when I made this prediction.
Yeah.
Episode
so
6,
the same.
Joel and Ellie arrive at Tommy's place, meeting the town stuff. Ellie runs away. Ellie doesn't really run away, does she? There's just that confrontation that Joel and Ellie have. Which I
Yeah.
think might have been one of my least favorite things is that I really found the running away part quite a dramatic, childish thing to do. They don't do
Mhm.
that in the show, but they
Yeah.
still handle it quite
They're
well.
also
But
not
I
being
thought that might have
attacked.
been.
That's also a big
They're not. Yeah, they're
difference,
not being attacked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Joel and Ellie chat, big fighting. Joel agrees to take Ellie all the way. That's what happens here. Well, he gives her the option. Episode 7, University.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's the
and then-
flashback episode. That's, I guess, what you didn't get right there because
Yeah,
I guess at the end of 6.
that's
I
where they
guess,
get injured.
Yeah, he already gets injured at the end of 6? Or is that. Yeah, I guess he does.
Because they
yeah.
do the they
Kin is a
leave
big episode.
the
yeah.
town. Yeah, they leave the town, and that's where they do the university. Joel gets injured,
Mhm.
and then episode 7 is the flashback where
Yeah.
Ellie's trying to heal him, and then leads into David's storyline, where episode 8 is David's storyline, which standard of the show. And then I say super fucked up cannibal storyline. Episode
Mhm.
9, Joel gets
Nailed it
Ellie
there.
to Fireflies, where Joel goes massive dad mode and fucks them all up. So
Yeah.
my
you
prediction was
nailed it
pretty
pretty
damn
much.
good.
Mm-hmm. You had that one down. Apart from, I guess, the 2 episodes that diverged quite a bit
Spin-off
from
episodes,
the show
yeah.
because you weren't expecting there to be a flashback.
But
I
as
guess.
I said with our season recap,
Mhm.
that I'm so excited to see what they do with season 2 that
Mhm.
diverges from the game. I'm
Yeah.
more excited to see where they go with expanding the universe, because even though it's not canon to the games, I'm considering their expansions what they originally really wanted to tell, but just wouldn't work in the video game format. So
Mm.
I'm very excited for the next season of The Last of Us. I
Yeah.
will very much be anticipating a great season of storytelling.
Yeah. Gotta wait, I assume about 2 years until we
10
get back to
years.
that.
Oh,
10 years? No. Almost, almost. But no, let's get to, I guess, what I've been watching.
well,
First
yes,
up,
Ewan, let's get to what you've been watching, because
yes,
that's the
let's
next
talk
part of
about
what you've been
me.
watching.
Me,
Let's
bears,
talk
my
about you
time.
now, Ewan.
Yes. I watched Avatar the Last Airbender over the last few weeks, actually, and I finished the third season. And
So
yeah,
good.
it's such a
So
great
good.
show. It's
So
like
good.
one that I didn't watch much Nickelodeon growing up, and this is a great animated show from beginning to end. It's like one immediately when maybe that's me going into dad mode, but immediately while I was watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is a show that I would show my children and let them watch it because it has so many great
Yeah.
messages within it. It's so much about like compassion. It's got really complex characters that oftentimes then get simplified for the sake of being a kids TV show, but there's layers to them, and it's so enjoyable to see them on this journey of self discovery of all of that, like being tested in all sorts of ways, and it's beautifully animated as well. So such a
I'll
great
tell you
show.
what, it
Yeah,
is a show that I rewatch every few years, and it's just great storytelling.
it's
And
great, right? Yeah.
it is so exciting that they have established a studio to do expansive universe stuff. Have you
Hmm.
seen the
Cora?
spin-off
No,
Korra?
I'm about to start it because I know that that's like really hated by some people, and then some people really love it.
It's mixed. I have mixed feelings about it, but
Hmm.
stick through it because I feel like it gets stronger and stronger.
Yeah,
It starts pretty mediocre and it's pretty mediocre throughout, but it definitely does become a strong show.
yeah,
It's just not as strong as Avatar: The Last
right.
Airbender is. I feel like Aang and the gang is a way
They're
cooler group of
iconic, yeah.
characters than what Korra is.
Mhm.
But no, trust me, they expand the universe. The biggest issue with Korra is how quickly things advance. Like they have like
Okay.
cars and stuff, and it's a bit
Oh,
jarring to be like, oh, okay, so there's the next season of
technology
Avatar
thing or what?
spin-off gonna have like smartphones. So it
Right.
like there's a lot of progression in a very short period of time. But look,
Okay.
I'll stop talking.
Yeah.
Enjoy
I mean, I'll
Korra
start it
because
this week actually.
yeah,
So I'll report once I've
see you
finished the
next week with
show.
Korra.
Well, I probably won't watch this 4 seasons of it. I probably won't watch 4 seasons of
A
Korra. I
lot.
would
It's
be
a lot.
surprised. But yeah, it's the same with Key and Peele. I started watching that just like 3 days ago. Already halfway through season 3 because you can cruise through those episodes. They're just like 20 minutes
Yeah.
long. And got some really iconic bits. I'm enjoying season. I guess no, season 3 has gone off to a really great start. There's like I think there's the sweating bit that's memed into oblivion at this point. Some really iconic moments, and they are
That's
incredibly
such a good
funny.
skit.
Like I never watch any type of like skit type of comedy. I've never watched SNL, and whenever I see a clip from SNL, I just feel like, oh, this is another reason why not to watch SNL because they're not really funny. And here you get these really charismatic two guys who are great. They're amazing at their job. And maybe I should watch more of this. I don't know if this is like as high as it goes, as good as it gets. Because I mean, they've got some incredible bits in there. I can recommend that to anyone. And I also applaud them for, I think by the time they finished, they wrapped with season 5. They were like, we could extend this. I think they could have gone for longer, but they decided to move on. And I think that's really in like 5-year increments. I feel like you should, as a creative, reestablish what you want to do and move on. That's why like a lot of shows after season 5 at the latest they kind of fizzle out and actors aren't really that interested anymore. They're sticking around because they get like an increased pay for each episode, but there's no fulfilling thing for them anymore to stick with those characters other than like maybe Bob Odenkirk with Better Call Saul. I feel like this, but even he doesn't really like that. He's, by the way, in a new show called Lucky Hank. 2 episodes out for that. I watched those 2 as well, and it's pretty solid so far. I've been watching a bunch of TV, but I'm holding off my thoughts on that until the season has wrapped. Otherwise I'll be talking about that each week. But yeah, I also watched the John Wick films, reestablishing those for myself because I haven't watched them since, I guess, Parabellum, which was 3 years ago, 4 years ago at this point. And in my memory, they were great. When I rewatched them, they were even better. I ended up bumping up my ratings for pretty much all of them by like half a star. Ended up giving 5 out of 5, which is really rare for me. But I mean, the movie is not without its flaws. Some of the characters I don't really enjoy the quippiness of it, but just the action in it is incredible. I just loved it so much. And it's great to be in that universe. And to see how, like, for me, they kind of blended all into this mesh of John Wick. I couldn't really decipher where 2 ends and 3 begins. And I think that's just like the continued story that you have in this pretty much just like one go linear story of John Wick that's told over just I guess a couple of days or weeks even. Which is
Mm.
it's really impressive how incredibly escalated it gets when you compare 1 to 4. It is so different. And something that we'll get way more into when we talk about 4 is the look of John Wick. When you look at the first one, it does look quite decent, but it's got like that desaturated look. 2 has a bit more style, and then 3 explodes with the cinematography
Neon
and
colors.
exactly, especially neon colored. And then this one is continuing along that, not as heavy on the neons, but just beautifully lit scenes overall. And yeah, so let's actually get into John Wick Chapter 4, Lachlan. So the 4th installment of the John Wick saga is directed by Chad Chaleski, a stunt performer turned stunt supervisor and now director. He has directed all 4 of the John Wick films. And this story sees John Wick, who is on a path to defeat the High Table. But before he can earn his freedom, Wick must face off against a new enemy with powerful alliances across the globe and forces that turn old friends into foes. John Wick Chapter 4 has been received so well over the last couple of days. On Letterboxd it has a 4.2, on IMDb 8.5, and even on Metacritic it's a 78 for an action film, the 4th one in a saga. That's a really high praise from the snobby critics, I guess like me over there. It comes in at a runtime of 169 minutes. Nice. And is produced by Lionsgate and over doubles the budget of the previous films. John Wick 1 was produced for 30 million, and then 2 and 3 for 40. This one is at a staggering $100 million, but you can really see everything put onto screen with these action scenes that last at the end close to like an hour without like anything breaking the action. And there's even another one that's like 30 minutes ongoing action. So really impressive work over there. Lachlan, the mayhem of John Wick as he unleashes his gun, firing them and blocking them, I guess, with his bulletproof suit. What did you make of the 4th installment of John Wick?
I thought it was absolutely wild. As I said earlier in this recording, I re-downloaded Twitter, and one of the first things I tweeted, other than our retweet of us going to Cannes, is that what John Wick 4 has done for action is what Top Gun Maverick did for flight scenes. It is glorious to see this action. If I could have one John Wick film set in the John Wick universe, right? Every 2 years, that will make up for all of the shitty CGI action scenes that I see in a good 80% of other films that we see each year. It is what you see on screen is phenomenal.
Mhm.
I think that the biggest downside to the John Wick films is that story-wise, it's a bit like, okay, I see how this can link, but I
Yeah.
don't know why he's still fighting. But
Mhm.
I'm not going to a John Wick film to care about the most emotional plot points, the hard hitting,
Yeah.
I am Iron Man snaps. It's not that emotional.
Yeah.
But oh my god, is it tiring? And I think that is one of the coolest uses of action scenes in any film whatsoever, is that
Mhm.
in the opening hour of this film, there's a good, like, I want to almost say, like 15 to 20 minute action scene
I think
that
it's like almost
starts and
30,
stops.
30.
Almost 30 minutes.
Yeah, 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 I
Starts
checked,
and
yeah.
then stops. You know what I'm talking about, right? Start in
Yeah,
the
yeah, Osaka.
in a hotel, starts
Mhm.
and stops, starts and stops. And you keep going, oh, oh, and you're getting physically tired watching this scene.
Yeah.
But so is John Wick. And
Mhm.
you are as tired as what he is by the end of this scene with how much action there is. And that is a testament to the stunt coordinators, to
Yeah.
Chad Zelensky, like his vision of this film.
Mhm.
Shout out to the director of photography. What's his name? Dan Launceston. And I mean, did I say shout out to Keanu Reeves? Because shout out to Keanu Reeves. He's like
Yeah.
50 and he's
Yeah.
like doing some yeah, and he's
This
doing
is
some
more
mad
yes
stunts.
than ever, to be honest. He does it in like
But
the
no,
opening and so many yes.
but like this film was just a lot of fun. And
Mhm.
we talk about how going to the cinema, and I hate when Tom Cruise is right, but when you go to the cinema,
Mhm.
it's an experience. It's a lot of fun when
Yeah.
the person next to you who you've never met is also jolting when there's a hard punch, a
Mhm.
tumble, a fall, a gunshot to the head that's come underneath the helmet that John Wick has like specifically done, and it's
Yeah.
like blood splattering everywhere. That people around you are literally like, "Oh fuck, ah shit, ah go, oh." Like there
Mhm.
is that experience that you get, and that is what made John Wick 4 even more exciting for me, is
Mhm.
watching it in the cinema with a whole
Yeah.
bunch of people. It is so much fun to
Yeah.
watch and enjoy this film. And it is a great sequel. I felt like all of the John Wicks 2 and 3, the sequels, I guess I should say, felt like a good continuation, but
Yeah.
this felt very different. Like the other ones felt like a natural flow, but there was just something different about chapter 4 where it was just
Expanding?
expansive,
Yeah. Mhm.
but also at the same time still very at home. Nothing felt too over the top, where there's a lot
Yeah.
of things in John Wick that is very over the top.
Mhm.
I guess I don't want to get into any spoilers just right now, so
There's
I
no
think I
okay,
might
okay.
hand back over to you for your
Yeah.
thoughts on John Wick. But I feel like a natural place to go for how over the top this is Donnie Yen's character Kane.
Yeah.
But I will talk about my progression with Kane once you're done with your thoughts on the film. So Ewan,
Yeah.
John Wick Chapter 4, hit me. What did you think?
So
Yes
I
or no?
came so I c yes or no? Yes. I came out of the
Oh,
film,
okay.
uh, giving it a 6 out of 10. I've since gone up to a 7 out of 10. By the time of this review, I might bump it up to an 8 out of 10. I don't know if you can convince me, because 'cause I'm impressionable at this point. To me, I didn't really like the all of the expansive stuff of the universe, of like a lot of these moments that are slow played. If you watch the because I after this, hadn't seen them before. Maybe I would have enjoyed the film a bit more if I seen 1, 2, 3, and then gone to see 4. But I've seen it a while ago, so it's um not as great as some of the other ones to me, because it focuses so much on like establishing these cool characters with a connection to John Wick. And I felt like the other ones had a more of a drive of survival or like getting past it. And here I guess the flip is that he's more on the attack, or obviously has always been on revenge, but the revenge seems not as immediate and necessary, because it's basically more about, I guess, his freedom at this point. And I want
Mm.
to see him fight for his dog. I want to see him fight for whatever fucked up thing he had to do. I forgot about like the marker thing in the second one. That's like they actually done after the first one, and that like
Mm.
reels him back in and escalates this whole plot. But I also didn't really like and I know he's an incredible martial artist. I didn't like the Donnie Yen character, if I'm being totally honest.
What?
Yeah, I felt like the blind thing was a gimmick they like overused in a sense of where it was like stretching my imagination with like the blocking of the bulletproof suits that and then like the action, I felt like John Wick is always so precise with like shooting and stuff. And here, especially in the face off between like two bigger characters, it was them shooting aimlessly at each other and just blocking all the shots, and that took away from the whole thing for me. But I mean, it's still an incredible spectacle for action and stunts and the cinematography. So that's what I really enjoyed, and I feel like the more time that passes, I guess I value that part of it more, and I can just really let all of the screenplay stuff that bothers me, or even the stunt moments that I'm not really the biggest fan of, just go into the background a bit more and just like enjoy the spectacle that this movie is. And I don't know if there's been like anything up to this level. I think that's why, like you said, Top Gun Maverick groundbreaking thing for action films. I feel like this is similar because you got so many incredible stunt workers here. Because I kind of want to put them on screen right now and like see them roll past all of the people that were stunt people in this. Because like you got an incredible scene in Paris, especially all of the Osaka thing, that action scene. Those are the two big ones in the movie, and there's just so much really difficult action that they pull off. It is crazy,
Mm.
the amount of moving things. Yeah, it really has elevated the action genre. But to me, I think part 3 is just like overall a bit more of a condensed thing. What did you think about the runtime? Did you think it was justified that you sit there for 3 hours? Did you enjoy the whole time you were there, or
Yeah, no, I did. I did fear the runtime going in.
yeah?
If you've listened to the podcast before, I'm a big, like, I think 90-minute films in and out are so much fun because you
Hmm.
get in and you get out and you enjoy your time. I do fear, especially with the previous 2 to 3 years. I would say, actually, you know what? I'd say more in the last 12 months more than
Yeah,
anything.
it's crazy.
3-hour movies are becoming more common. Like
Yeah,
like we had the Batman. What other big long films did we have? We had recently.
Babylon.
We had the Batman. Babylon was 3 hours.
Yeah, Fablemans.
Dune was
Dune. Yeah.
2.5 a bit. Fablemans was no, Fablemans wasn't that long.
Was
Fablemans was
two and a
like
half. It was
two.
2.5. Tar was also 2.5. It's like on the longer side, but usually those character
Yeah.
pieces tend to be a bit longer. I think something came out about a movie that's coming out this year that's also the longest one that director has done. I don't know if it's The Killers of the
Wow.
Flower Moon. But yeah, it's going into a direction where we see a lot of
Yeah.
these longer films.
And you've got to fear being in the cinema that long, having to go to the toilet and missing really cool, like good action. But
Yeah.
what I fear more is just wasted time, and I think that's one of the things I was taught very early on is that just cut shit you don't need,
Mhm.
and that's what I fear when you go into watching a 3-hour film is that there's going to be aspects that aren't needed. I don't feel that with John Wick because
Mhm.
the majority of this runtime is taken up by action scenes,
Mhm.
and that is very exciting and very fun. I don't think I at any point felt that it was too long. There have been other 3-hour films, and I think probably the best one, and I was the first example I gave was the Batman.
Mhm.
The Batman ends, and then it doesn't, and then it gets another ending. There's
Yeah.
definitely another end point. There's two ends to the Batman, and this doesn't have that. The ending is the ending, and that's the best part. It's just a continuous build up, a continuous climax. There's a low point, but then it does a big climax again.
Mhm.
But it doesn't feel like it ends at, say, 95 minutes, where I feel
Yeah.
like the Batman ends at like 100 minutes, and then there's another 40 minutes coming on to be like, wow, this is getting even longer, and like
Yeah, it doesn't have the
it,
strongest ending as well, where I feel like John Wick Chapter 4, without getting, I guess, into specific spoilers just yet, does have a really conclusive ending.
Yeah.
That feels.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Okay.
But
But you want to get into it?
should
Do we want to get
we?
into spoilers?
Should we
Yes.
spoiler it now?
Yes.
Let's put the
Final
spoiler
spoilers.
warning up.
We did one at the start of the review, but this is like your final warning for actual spoilers right now for the film. He dead. He's dead.
He's not dead.
He's dead.
He's not dead.
I hope he's dead.
Nah,
Put him to
I
rest.
don't think he's dead.
No? What do
I
you
don't
think?
think he's dead.
John Wick 5 starts
think
with
he
him
passed
like
out.
"Bleh." He's like John Wick 5 starts similar to this way. Instead of boxing a like boxing bag, he's punching like the up part of his coffin. And he comes out.
No,
Who would he go after?
I don't
Who's
think
left?
there's going to be a John Wick 5.
No.
There's no
me
John
neither.
Wick 5.
Mhm.
I just think that it was an ending that lets you, I mean, we're jumping straight to the ending, but I think it's just an ending that lets you decide whether or not he's dead.
Mhm.
I'd like to think that he got out again and he's the only person who's ever gotten out from the high table and then gotten out again from the
Mhm.
high table. As much as I would love to see a John Wick 5, if they do one, I'll be pretty upset because I think that it's one of the better endings. What?
You know, Chad, what's his name? Chad Shaleski is also doing Ghost of Tsushima. He could die and then come back as a ghost of Tsushima.
He just comes back
Culturally
as a Ronin.
appropriated.
Oh gosh,
He comes back
it's not
Asian.
the first time Keanu Reeves has done that.
Which, by the way, we're both really looking forward to that film and his adaptation. I think that's what he'll move on to next. He's not doing the spin-off with Ana de Armas Ballerina. That's also set between 3 and 4. So we might get to see John Wick, but it also might be like a Shazam situation where it's just Wonder Woman and you just see the back like of Keanu Reeves, just his hair. I don't know, maybe he's a more prominent person in that film, but that's just her, I guess. I refamiliarized myself with 3, I guess, and basically she's the one on like up on the stage dancing, and then she gets interrupted and everyone gets killed, and I guess she gets away, and then she somehow is then Ana de Armas, which in that movie, in that scene, maybe she's a different ballerina. I don't know. Maybe that's like wrong information that's floating around at the moment. But she looked like a 16-year-old girl. So Ana de Armas goes from weirdly portraying Marilyn Monroe to, I guess, a 16-year-old that's killing people. It's gotta be interesting to see. But yeah. Okay, so we jumped straight to the end, Lachlan. We haven't really talked about the characters yet. So let's talk about the
which
characters.
is what I want to get into, because I want to talk about Donnie Yen for a second, because you said you don't like him, and that makes me upset a little bit, because I'll be real with you, I also did not like him at the start.
What?
So, Donnie Yen is incredible.
Yeah.
It Man is wicked, and it's kind of made me want to go back and rewatch that series, along with the John Wick series. Maybe it's just go on an action binge next week. That'd be wicked. But it's not the first time I've seen Donnie Yen play a blind martial artist. Rogue One, there he is, blind martial artist. But he had the Force that time. He had a reason that he could be able to do that kind of reflexes. Even though I said that this is an over-the-top world, that was one of the most hard to believe moments. But it took a little bit, because obviously he's blind, right? He's blind. How the fuck is he going to take out some of these people?
Yeah.
And you don't learn how he goes blind for a little bit. So the entire time I'm thinking he's been blind since birth. He's had this since birth. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's trained, but why would these group of people, because obviously early on you learn that John Wick, Donnie Yen, Kane, and Sonata's character, I can't remember what his name is.
The Marquis?
No, that's Bill Skarsgård.
Who? What did you
Hiroki Sonata.
Yeah. Shimatsu.
Shimatsu? Yeah. Shimatsu. Those 3 were like best friends. So I was thinking, why would those 2 trust a blind guy and train him or something like that? So I was going along those lines. But obviously you learn later on that he actually sacrificed his eyes to get out. Similar to
Yeah.
John Wick, he got out.
Mhm.
And that made me realize that he wasn't blind, so he was trained. And it made me more impressed because he is essentially just using his reflexes of what they would do.
Mhm.
Then you get that action scene in Osaka where he's putting those devices that make chimes. He's
Yeah.
adapted, he's learnt. And I was like, okay, maybe this is a bit more believable. And it started to realize that when you have that final up battle, up the staircase scene
Stairs, yeah.
with John and him, that John is calling out people, hey,
Yeah.
at your six. Or like he says, stairs at your six, or do you want to
Mhm.
take 9 or 12? Well, he just says 9 or 12, and he says 9, I think. So he does 9 o'clock, he shoots 9 o'clock.
Mhm.
Or how he kind of, now as a blind person, shoots in a general direction and hopes that he hits something, but then he goes on with his blade. So
Yeah,
slowly but surely, I started falling in love with the idea of this character, and I thought that it was going to be too over the top, but
yeah. Mhm.
I became more and more attached, and I thought this is a way cooler character that he doesn't want to be back in. Similar to
Yeah.
John, he doesn't want to be in this situation,
Mhm.
but he has to do it for a similar thing to
Yeah.
honor the memory of his daughter, or to protect his daughter.
Mhm.
The best line of the film is at the end, when the Marquis says, "Think of your daughter," and he just goes, "Fuck off!" Right? That, like, I think that was the funniest moment of the film. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't want to be fighting for these people, but he needs to in this situation.
Mhm.
And I started to respect the character more and more. And I think that it's gonna obviously become a spin-off character in this John Wick universe. With the
I don't
end
know.
credit scene we have at the end.
But it's the end credit scene where Akira is going after him.
Yeah. Like
I mean,
guess the spin-off other than
yeah,
Ballerina.
it was kind of implied, I guess, that he gets killed, but I didn't think I don't think he gets killed. That there's like a whole action scene that would unfold from there.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. I feel like I'm cutting some slack to Donnie Yen. I didn't mean to say like I liked him the least. I think that spot is reserved for Akira, if I'm being honest. I didn't like that storyline.
Oh, okay.
Because Donnie Yen goes up against these foes. He ends up killing Akira's father, right? His friend, and then he moves on to another character that he has to fight. And I feel like there he gets. I agree with you. At the start, I didn't really enjoy him as much, and then I guess pretty early on when he has to that whole back and forth of like, well, I don't really want to kill you, but like honor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To me, that was like, I don't know. I get why it's happening, but I feel like it's so annoying annoying to see. And then the fight between him and John Wick was better in a sense because both of them don't really want to kill each other, and the back and forth that is somewhat comedic, like "Are you dead yet?" or whatever, isn't as comedic, in because they really don't want to do it. So then it becomes more believable that like John is also holding back in a sense. He doesn't want to kill him or maybe get away with like playing dead or whatever, and it just doesn't work out. And by the end of it, the stair fight, I think to me is also the highlight of the whole film. It's also like really funny the way like people just come comedic like our theater. I watched it at a preview press screening, and even the press people, which usually tend to be really silent when even in comedies, were like laughing pretty hysterically at like that final thing where like people just keep tumbling down. It's actually so funny. And he's great in that. Like them working together really works great. And I feel like it's also like harder for his character who's just like going off reflexes to differentiate between where's John Wick and where's his enemies.
Mm.
So them calling it out, I think that was a great tag team. And then yeah, him ending up there. I would have liked to see a happy ending for him, but I guess they said that early on that now Akira is coming after him, and yeah, I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I guess that's one way to continue the series in a sense. And then she kills him, and then the daughter maybe becomes an assassin, and then they fight against each other. It's like, no,
Yeah,
man.
it's never ending, eh?
It's no
Look, out of
cycle of
all
violence.
of the new characters that got introduced this film,
Mhm.
Kane is probably the best one.
Yeah,
Skarsgård's character
is a
was
bit of a
there,
bitch.
but obviously he's the
Yeah,
villain, so he's meant to be let go.
yeah,
The tracker, I mean,
yeah. What do
again,
you
just another
make? What do you
character
make of
that.
the tracker? Yeah,
Well, obviously we needed to get more dogs. Parabellum
exactly,
introduced two of
exactly.
the greatest characters in the John Wick universe, and that's
Hmm.
two like German shepherds. I think they were
Hmm.
German shepherds.
I think so. Yeah,
Having the time of their lives, like the action sequences of the dogs was so much fun. I think
yeah,
that was the highlight of Parabellum. To have another dog in the film, it's again a double-edged blade, I guess, because
hmm,
I enjoy watching dogs in these action scenes, but if the dog gets hurt, I fucking hate that character that hurt him. And
yeah,
guess what? There's a character that throws a dog against the car. The dog doesn't get injured or die. That's great.
yeah,
But it makes me hate that character even more. So well
yeah,
done, because it
hmm,
made me hate you even more. Uh, but the
yeah,
tracker himself, I guess, was an interesting character because he obviously was interested in taking the contract against John,
hmm.
but John at a point saves his dog because he has a flashback, I guess, to his dog being killed, and
It's a bit of
he
a
stops the tracker
Batman.
going on the same journey.
Yeah, it's a bit of a like Martha Batman v Superman moment. It's like I have
Yeah,
dog,
yeah.
dog good. I can't kill
But
person with
dog
dog.
good, yeah. But like I can't fault that moment because it, the tracker is obviously he's flowing between wanting to kill John and wanting to
Mm,
protect John because he wants to keep John around to get a higher bounty
yeah,
reward, but he doesn't want to kill him when he gets told to kill him because, he's also fighting for a reason that's quite honorable, I guess. So the tracker has a weird place
but
in
because
this
he's
film.
yeah,
He's
because
almost like a Deus Ex Machina.
yeah,
We
he
can't let
is,
John
yeah,
die, shoot him. Like that's
exactly.
what the tracker is.
And I think also he's a younger character, and you can see those people already affected by the high table, and he's not really fully
Mm.
sucked into the world yet, and he's basically at a crossroads where he has to decide, does he work for the high table, and he feels like he has more control over what he actually does, and basically, selling his whole life away like Donnie Yen. You have no control after, and even someone like John Wick who gets out, which now I'm like wondering, how did John Wick get out before? I don't know. I
What did he
guess
have to do? Yeah.
yeah. Well, I guess they
Well, I mean,
imply
they
it in the
say it. How
first
many?
one.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
But they also say it's like, how many did you have to kill to get out? And he's like, a
Mhm.
lot. So
Yeah.
obviously he did a little to do that.
He
But
did that for
I
the
guess he
Russian mafia
also
guys in the
the
first one. Yeah.
yeah the interesting thing about the tracker is the naivety of him. You said it
Yeah.
with like what he has to do with the high table.
Mm.
There's the scene where he is talking to the Marquis, and
It's like,
Donnie Yen is also in the same scene, and he's like,
yeah.
"Hey, just think before you say yes."
Mhm.
And we know that because he has taken a deal, and he's probably done deals in the past with a
Yeah.
similar character. And Kane and John will both know this. You don't trust anyone, and the tracker
Mhm.
takes the deal, but he ends up having to do this really hardcore scene that they don't cut away from, and that's very bold, where he has to rip his hand
Yeah.
out of a knife. And
I
man, that was
That
ooh,
was a tough.
that's a
Yeah,
bit
that
of
was
a
tough.
hair sticking up scene, isn't it? Like
Mhm. Yeah.
you feel uncomfortable watching that.
Mhm. Exactly, and well, I think he's another actor that's great. Shamir Anderson has done a lot of like more indie work. I think overall, I've seen him in a movie on Disney Plus the other week. That's called Bruiser. He was great in it there, and he gets some solid action. He gets to be around the whole time and
Mm.
just like shoot shoot shoot, and I guess just have a good time with him and his dog. I didn't really love the Marquis. I think Bill Skarsgård is an incredible actor, but I think he was made out to be this pathetic. loser character, like that wants to be intimidating and also is intimidating in a sense just because he has power. But I ultimately really enjoyed how he goes, although it is kind of a funny moment where
Yeah.
he wants to be like the killing blow, and he's just too arrogant to see that like I love the who is it at the end who says like
Mr. Manager.
was it Winston who goes like you dumbass he hasn't shot his
Yeah.
shot yet.
Yeah. That was so funny.
That was so good. So I like that, and we already talked about the ending of him dying there. Now, what are some of the best moments to you in this? I guess it's just like the easiest thing is just the whole big action set piece. But was there like specific moments that really stood out to you?
I mean, there's that shot with John when we're introduced to him at the Osaka hotel with that.
Yeah,
Is it a cherry blossom tree?
yeah,
And I was
yes.
like, oh, wow, they're doing something here with the cinematography. And it made me
Hmm.
realize that they're going to go hard in making these shots look incredible with the lighting, especially.
Yeah,
The lighting in this film, it's harsh. It's especially in the, I guess, the German rave scene. Like, it's
yeah.
just bright lights the entire time. It's not
Hmm.
soft, it is hardcore, hardcore white light. It is
Hmm.
very harsh lighting in some scenes, but it's also very sharp lighting in other ones with
Hmm.
contrasting colors the entire time. The I guess the best moment for me, have to admit, I really enjoyed that German on the ground fighting scene.
Yeah,
Uh, I enjoyed the over the topness of that character uh, playing poker, saying that ever
right.
since the
Okay.
beginning they were losing, and he plays a straight 5 cards, and Kane says, "Let me guess, 5 straight." Like
Yeah,
it's a
royal
fun
flush or
scene,
something like that. Yeah,
and as I said, it's over the top.
yeah,
As much as I don't enjoy some of these characters, and I do agree the Marquis is a bit of a bitch, uh, and he's a bit of a weak character, he's over the top a bitch. And that's
yeah,
I don't watch these films for the character development. I don't watch these films for the plot points. I watch these films for the action, and
yeah.
they are dumb fun, and it's so much fun to watch this film.
Hmm.
So for me, I guess my favorite moment was that, but I also have to admit, I think my favorite moment was that opening fight scene in Osaka where John, Akira, or they all go their separate ways, and John's told to kill as many of them as he can, and
Yeah,
it's a 30-minute fight scene, and you get physically tired from watching it,
yeah, yeah,
and John gets physically tired from watching it, and I think that made me realize that they had found a point in the John Wick series where they could do so much action to make you tired, to show that John is tired, and it's
mhm,
a perfect wrap up of the series. So for me, I think that is the standout moment, that they figured out how to make action scenes tiring so that you feel tired and that John feels tired. And again, it all just works so well in that opening moment. So for me, that's the best moment
yeah.
of John Wick 4 by far.
Yeah, it has some incredibly good moments. I think a lot of people are gonna really enjoy that like top-down look that they do in. I think it's Berlin or maybe it's later on in
Yeah,
Paris.
that is
Like
sick.
I think no, it's
Yeah.
Paris. I
And
think it's
the
Paris later on.
shotgun off. I forgot the shotgun. That
Yeah,
was so much fun. The fire shotgun. Ah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that was
That's a
also
crazy
really
one as
good.
well. There was really a lot of like showcases, and I mean the Arc de Triomphe, or is it? No, I think it's Arc de Triomphe where they like go around in the circle thing, the big 6-laned what is it called? Roundabout. Um,
Roundabout, yeah.
and I like the first part when they're in the car at the start of it, where he like loses both of the doors to the car and like crashes them with the people. Or, like he doesn't have a gun or he needs to reload, and the other one's like reloading and he has to crash into them.
Mm,
There's a lot of great stunt coordination there, and then the fight I think gets a bit messy in a sense of like the cars just keep going, and it's basically another like Deus Ex Machina thing of like people just get run over. But I like in the series
yeah.
that John also gets run over. It's not just the enemies. continuously, like in 2 and 3 as well, gets like hit by cars, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a really strong
I
outing.
felt that the start of that scene with the car was a bit of an homage to the first film regarding a car, and I felt like
Uh
that's the beginning of his like final triumph into the fight.
yeah.
With
I
it
think the
kind of
best
going
like
back through
yeah.
the previous films.
I think the start of the second one is where he's in the car. He gets his car back, right?
Yeah.
And there's that one scene where he's like crashed into, and then the door he is broken off, and he like is the stunt is crazy. How like he gets flinged out of the car. He just like
Mm.
gets pushed out. I was waiting for like a similar moment in this, but I guess it didn't do it. It's on a smaller scale. I prefer that like scene in 2 over this in 4, but it's just on a completely different level again. And then I think that the lighting in the Osaka showroom, that they like you establish the scene early on where they walk through it and you get to appreciate the production design, and then they return to it to just completely destroy it. I think that's not like it's not a highlight for all of the different branches in filmmaking. Like the art direction and
Mm.
the production design gets to shine here. You get a lot of like great stunts, obviously, and the cinematography is highlighted. I feel like everyone gets to shine, and for that, it is commendable. I think maybe we'll talk about that in a second as well. It's like stunts being underappreciated in a sense as well in Hollywood, and only the Screen Actors Guild basically. I guess I'm getting to it right now, but the Screen Actors Guild does have an award in TV and movies to give out an award for best stunt ensemble. Um, and the Oscars don't have that yet. It's like the last major branch who does not have an Oscar category, and I feel like it's gonna come up in the conversation again this year, especially with this film. Dune will have a bunch of action in it, and I'm sure there'll be some other Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part One. So hopefully this conversation gets accelerated to a point where these people get their due, because it incentivizes uh, more great action, I guess, to be put into movies. And it also would
I
solve
just think
kind of
that
a yeah,
there's just been such a low period of good action for a while. There
right,
has been no reason to praise action when most of it had been digitally enhanced. Where I say digitally enhanced, John Wick still has a lot of CG in it that
yeah,
enhances the scene. But you can see that in films, and you said great example like Mission Impossible. There's something different about those scenes, and it's the same with John Wick that it feels raw, it feels authentic, that it's just CGI enhancing what has already been captured in camera, not capturing something in camera and then sending it to the, visual effects team to create a scene from that.
yeah. I mean,
And I think that's
yeah.
where the argument comes in for a a stunt category at the Oscars, because this kind of film should win.
I mean, also just last year with Avatar, you got like a lot of stunts with the underwater filming. That like
Mm.
essentially it's all of the dangerous stuff that happens and the safety precautions where the stunt people come in and do all of that essential work. That I guess it would go more to like the superhero movies that would get nominated, but I feel like that would just be a win overall for the Oscars as well, for like something that they've feared for a long time to, I guess, become more and more irrelevant and people not caring about them as much to be
Maybe
included.
Jamie Lee Curtis could have got a second Oscar for being wired up in Everything Everywhere All at Once for Best Action.
Best hot dog flicking, hot dog finger
Best
flicking.
hot dog flicking.
Yeah, and
It's
yet another award
yeah,
that I mean, everything everywhere this year probably would have gotten right, other than maybe Top
Best
Gun,
Action.
because the
Oh,
action.
you actually, yeah, Top Gun could have gotten, but I mean, it depends what they categorize as action.
Yeah,
Maybe it's just like captured in camera action, not CGI action. But but then again, if we're going to do that, we can't have MCU films come in there because
I don't
most of
think
the
no.
action
I
in
think it
that
would
would have
just
been.
be stunts overall. I don't think that the CGI thing would affect that in the slightest. Because what
What
you mean
counts as
is
a
like when
stunt
we get a
then?
full body replacement, right? That does like then the action. in a sense,
Yeah,
right?
because as you said, visual effects action, stunt action. What counts as a stunt? Is it something physically done?
Yeah. Well, no,
Yeah.
I think the Oscar expert Cole had a great video about this like the other day that he made about why it should be added, and he I think what he proposes is that it's called stunt design, not stunt performance or whatever, because it is an art form in itself with the
Okay,
stunt
sure.
coordinator and the director to direct it, and it's like a separate part of I guess the stunts, and then it would kind of be carried over into when there's a CGI effect. It's still extending the stunt thing. So it would still
Yeah.
be part of this, although it is an overlap with
Sure.
the
If it's
VFX and
stunt
whatever.
direction, then that's fair. If it's stunt direction,
Yeah, stunt
that
direction
is
or stunt
a
design, yeah,
yeah.
something like
If
that.
it's
Yeah,
just best stunt, I'm thinking actual stunts done in a film, not the visual
the Tom
side, the
Cruise
visual
award.
effects side. But if it's
Yeah,
best stunt direction, then yeah, I guess.
I think best stunt would also be so limiting in a sense that it's like also to one person and one stunt or one character, and the stunt design would be more overall for the branch. And one of the issues being is that like what the Academy has used so far for not including it is like there's like about 35 members in the Academy at the moment that are stunt people, and the smallest branch otherwise is like one of the production design or whatever with like
Mm,
130 members, and they're like, well, there's just not enough people around to vote for this to have its own branches. Like, well, add a bunch of people. There's more than enough talented people
yeah.
working in stunts. So I feel like this is an easily fixable problem. It's also not the biggest thing. You still get these movies. They don't need an award. It would just be nice for just them to be acknowledged and appreciated overall, because at the end of the day, that's what these awards should be for, at least for the consumer, not for
Yeah.
the industry within. Um, we talked
The
about
other
this in
thing as
the
well,
yep,
just
yep,
quickly,
yeah, yeah.
before we move on about stunt category, is that if it does get into the Oscars, it would have definitely gotten films an Oscar nomination when they didn't get one. I think two that
Yeah.
stand out for fairly recently that were great action. Bullet Train, not
Mm,
nominated for anything, and I felt that out of everything, the action in that was the best part, but there was
yeah.
nothing else there. Another great one, less so, but I thought that the action was really good. The Gray Man from Netflix. That
Right.
should have gotten something for the action, but now I think of it,
Eh,
most of that action was digitally enhanced on a green screen,
yeah.
and I felt that that could be these films that we had a lot of fun with that sure weren't breathtaking like the John Wick films. They're not the most, as I said, emotionally hard hitting films. But has any John Wick film been nominated for an Oscar?
I don't think they have. The only thing I could see is with the third one being for cinematography. Let's actually check real
Yeah.
quick. Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films in 2019 for the third one. And it was a nominee for the Art Directors Guild.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing with. It's surprising to me that I'm not even seeing the. Wait, this is baffling. Wait, why not for SAG, the Screen Actors Guild? Why didn't they get? They should have probably won like those stunt categories. Or were they not implemented yet? Would be crazy if like John Wick doesn't get like a nomination in the stunt department for the movies. Well, anyways, it's
Mm.
that's a bit of a tangent there.
But like, if I'm totally honest, out of anything that the stunt direction category could bring to the Oscars, it's just an acknowledgement of films that didn't have anything crazy going for it, but
Mhm.
wanted to entertain you with action. And I think The
Yeah,
Grey Man is a perfect example of that, and so would Bullet Train. That's another great
it
example.
would
That
be.
should get some sort of
It
nomination.
would be very funny if, like, the usually like how the Oscars work is like in the specific branches they end up making the nominees, but then the whole Academy
Mm,
votes on the winners, right? Well, I guess
yep.
that wouldn't happen with the nominations, but it would be very funny if like something that is more Best Picture esque then wins, although it has clearly the worst stunts in it. Just
Yeah.
because like people don't bother to watch those other films. That would be very Oscar like, but yeah, I guess in recent years there have been some changes. We've been talking about the Oscars way too much. They've gotten way too much publicity from this. But I think, lastly, that this movie by the end of the year, I'm sure of it, does deserve a cinematography nomination. And there's no stunts
Does.
that come anytime soon. So I think that's the one where it really shines. I think even if you don't really love the screenplay like I did, the stunts were great, but also had not didn't work for me the whole time in the story sense. The cinematography is amazing from beginning to end, and I feel like it's a visual spectacle for that alone. A reason enough to stay for 3 hours and just to watch the movie, in my opinion. Lachlan, you have anything else to add?
I don't think I do have anything else to add. I think I've said my piece pretty much
Yes.
thoroughly that it's nothing deep, but it's very, very good action. And
Yep.
as I said, that tweet that I made earlier today, that what John Wick has done for action scenes, and honestly, I said John Wick 4 in the tweet, but I could probably just say John Wick in general. What John Wick has done for action scenes is what Top Gun did for flight scenes. It is phenomenal to see hand-to-hand action done so well. But
Yeah.
that's what you get when you have a stunt coordinator turned director. He's gonna want to make it actiony. He's gonna make it want it fun. He's going to make it. He's going to want to make it fun. I said that sentence terribly, but hey, what can I say? I
Yeah.
got blown away by the phenomenal John Wick 4.
I guess someone who we haven't talked about at all, and there was a really tragic passing of Lance Reddick. He's also in the film, and then he also gets killed in the film early on. It's a bit of like a setting up, I guess, for the overall story to escalate further. That like it's supposed to establish Bill Skarsgård's character as like a threat in a sense, because these characters have been like Lawrence Fishburne as well has been like cut up, and so far the hotel director or whatever, he's been left pretty unscathed, similar to the not receptionist, what's his name, he's got like a more fancy name to himself.
Okay, so his name is Charon,
Yeah.
and he is based on mythology of the ferryman. Anyway, I don't want to get into
Oh,
it.
okay.
But
didn't even
one
know
thing I
that.
do want to get into,
Yeah.
one thing I really want to get, because obviously they
Mhm.
give him the gold to get safe passage to what,
Yeah.
that's the reference that they make with the gold coin.
Right.
From my knowledge, it's pronounced Charon, like it's CH, but it's
Yeah.
K. That's how you pronounce it.
Mhm.
And the only thing that shit me in the entire film is that Winston says Charon, like Sharon,
Yeah.
like Sharon, like that annoys me. Like Sharon Osbourne. It's not Sharon Osbourne.
Yeah.
It's Charon. And that really pissed me off. That's the only thing I have to hate about this film, and that really annoyed me.
Well,
But hey,
now
what can I can't say I'm not going to say anything else about the film bad, because everything else was great, but that really annoyed
it's
me.
turning De Niro in this. Okay. So being
Oh,
that
yeah, I
being
did
that being the only thing you hated, where did you arrive at as a rating for chapter 4?
So I did a sneaky thing on Letterboxd, and I didn't put a review because I didn't want you to have any presumptions on how I was going to react to it, Ewan.
Yeah, because I definitely didn't check at all what you rated it. I would never.
Excellent.
Mhm.
So, Ewan,
Yeah.
so far in 2023, I
I
have
see where this is
been
going.
pretty positive with some films,
Ah, okay.
but
But
I have I've had to hold myself back
Mhm.
on films with what I've been giving it. So,
yeah.
this film, John Wick 4, very similar to only one other film that I can say so far this year that I have given a 5-star to. I'm giving. Oh, I'm getting choked up. Hang on. Oh, 1 sec.
Okay. Take your time. Damn. 5-star rating. Jesus.
Because it was such an emotional ending. No, I'm fucking with you. I'm giving John Wick 4 5 stars.
Okay. Wow.
For being great action,
Mhm.
so much fun, and at least in my eyes, a great conclusion to the John Wick saga. And also having it open enough and in introducing some characters that we could see pop up, whether it be in a prequel, sequel, etc., etc. John Wick 4 is getting 5 stars, and I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but right now I'm saying it's my favorite John Wick film.
Oh my god, interesting. Okay. Well, I'm going. We didn't have a fight just yet because I also appreciate the other ones. I hold them to a really high standard. Rewatched them. It was like John Wick 4 got a 4. John Wick 1 got a 4-star. 2 got a 4.5, and I bumped my rating up for free to a 5-star just because it was so fun. I think I need to revisit the fourth one because I watched it where like it was an early screening and I didn't sleep the night before. So maybe I was really cranky and not really patient and already tired before we even started fighting. You know, as you said, the fight seems to get tiring and we feel that. I I gave it like a 3 out of 10, not a 3 out of 10, a 6 out of 10 at the start. I think I'm bumping it up to a 7. It is now to me closer to an 8 than a 7. Talking about it, there's just a lot of stuff to be appreciate, and it's one of the highest rated films of the year for me so far. You said it's the second 5-star for you that you've given to a 2023 movie or to a film overall in 2023.
To a film that I've given a review to in 2023. The other one was
Okay.
After Sun. That's obviously from last year. But
Yes,
it's the first 2023 movie that I have given a 5-star to. Now there is a number of films that come out in 2023. Oh, what are you doing? He's getting the poster. Man, you love Paul Mescal so much that you have a poster of him. There's a lot of films that come out so far for the rest of 2023 that I could possibly give more 5 stars to.
Yeah.
I'm just talking about the films. Sorry, now you got your headphones back on. I'm just talking about the films that I could possibly give 5 stars to that I'm yet to see this year, because obviously they haven't come out yet.
Yeah.
Just off the top of my head,
Dune.
I'm thinking Dune Part 2.
Yeah.
What else could be coming out? What else is coming out this year?
Disappointment
That could
Boulevard,
be a 5-star?
Ariastas.
Disappointment Boulevard,
it's not-
Ariastas, yeah.
Bo's afraid to say.
The Barbie movie. That's a possible Asteroid City if it comes out this year. A Wes Anderson
I think it
film,
does.
which
It's likely
if
to
I'm-
come to Cannes, actually, so we might even get to see that early.
I might lose my mind if I see a Wes Anderson film at Cannes. I
I'm
think
looking
I might
forward
lose
to
my
it.
mind.
I'll hold your hands. We can sit next to each
Killers
other.
of the Flower Moon this
Yeah.
year, most
Mhm.
likely as
Maybe
well.
also Cannes, yeah.
Like maybe also Cannes.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot of films that could be some 5 bombers this year.
Yeah.
That really pop off.
Mhm.
Those are just some of them.
Yeah.
Aquaman. Sorry, shit, I need to stop.
Is that this year?
I really,
The Flash?
I peaked.
Blue Beetle?
Peaked Flash. I
Everything
peaked
in the
at
DCU.
saying that Barbie was going to be a 5-star. We don't know what else could be coming out that could be a 5-star.
Yeah. I think one of the films that could be it for me is How Do You Live from Hayao Miyazaki. His potentially last film. And then there was another one that I'm blanking on right now. Oh yeah, Past Lives, the one that premiered at Sundance, seems to be really up my alley. Another A24 film. But yeah, so far I think this is like the second highest rated film I've had of 2023, which is surprising to me. I thought I've had liked the year so far more, but like my currently highest rated one is like a 4-star for Infinity Pool. But yeah, some solid some solid films so far that have come out, but more to come. And I'm landing on a 3.5 out of 5 for John Wick. Chapter 4, we can both wholeheartedly shout it out. It's a cinematic experience that I think is best experienced in the theater on the biggest screen, especially on the best sound system as well possible, because it does have like a lot of great design and just like a coming together of all of the different branches, making the movie the best it could be for an action film. So Lachlan, what do you want to pair up with John Wick Chapter 4? You've been in the seat for 3 hours. What would be your double feature pick?
I wanted something that made me enjoy the film, enjoy the action. I don't know where to go because there's a lot of good action films out there. But when I was looking at lists of sort of action films, I thought of one when I saw the first one, and I was like, actually, I think I might do the sequel. 'Cause I think the sequel is a bit more fun.
Okay.
It's Kill Bill Volume 2.
Yeah.
I want to partner it up because it is the accumulation of action films that Tarantino watched, and that's action films from around the globe. A very specific, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for here? Inspiration from Asian action films. Kill Bill is basically white people who want to be samurais. That's basically what Kill Bill is to Tarantino. But Kill Bill is so much fun. You know what? Fuck it. No, I'm saying Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. He considers it two films as one. So I'm doing Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. It's one film, but it's two films. He considers it one film. So it's Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2.
I'm also going with another potential double feature in the double feature because there's two films in it that I'm considered as one. I think I'm sticking with the first one here with The Raid. We did get two of the actors in John Wick Chapter 4, the two Indonesian actors, Yayan Runan and Sepip Arif Rahman. I probably butchered their names into oblivion there, but I think they're in the second one. I don't know if they're in the first one as well, but some incredible stunt coordination there as well. Just balls to the wall action scenes, similar to John Wick. And I guess with John Wick, it has arrived at a broader scope for a bigger audience than these Raid films. But check out those Indonesian films. But Lachlan, our subject next week and the new release of the week is Dungeons and Dragons: Honor Among Thieves. I had a chance to watch this a couple of weeks ago already, and I'm looking forward to revisiting it. We'll get into that a bit more, but if we have any familiarity with Dungeons and Dragons, I only played it once, so there's not too much for me to tag along to, but it's one that I can recommend for people, even if you're not into Dungeons and Dragons. It's a great adventure action film, more adventure than action, I'd say. But yeah, go give that a watch. We'll get into a full-on spoiler thoughts next week. And then if you are in the States, you are getting an expanded wide release for A Good Person starring Florence Pugh, right?
Oh, fuck.
I think
that was
it's
funny. You're like, fuck. Who is it?
Fuck. Starring Florence Pugh and Morgan Freeman, Alex Wolff, lots of people. I think it's a film from Zach Braff. Is that his name? Should have Zach Braff, not
You're
Graff.
so
That's my
prepared.
name.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm such a good person. Anyways, it's taking me 1,001 years to finish up this. Oh my god, this podcast. But that's another film that premiered earlier this year at Sundance. It's expanding wide as well. It's releasing wide. That's a A24 film that I would love to check out as soon as possible. It's been getting pretty good reviews, but we'll have to wait and see if that gets a release anywhere close to us soon as well. And then on Sunday night, tonight for us, later on, I know you haven't seen the series yet, but I'll probably have to bully you in the next couple of weeks to go finish, because the last season of Succession is premiering Sundays. So for the next 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I don't know how many episodes there will be. Succession is coming out. I'm very, very eager to see where the story concludes. I'm happy that they, I guess, picked a finish point for the show, so it really lives up to the potential. To me, this is one of the best modern series made in the last couple of years. So I'm really, really keen to dive back into the world of Succession. But that's it for this week. Next week, like I said, we'll talk about Dungeons and Dragons. So in the meantime, let us know in the comments below which of the John Wick films your favorite is, and maybe it's John Wick 4. Let us know what you thought of the film. And then while you're done there, and if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe, leave a like, and we'll see you next week, Lachlan.
Bye.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. I don't know.